us at facebook.com/WGHC 98.3 FM to watch all of our live streams. iPhone users can download our WGHC 98.3 FM app in the App Store. All other users can download the TuneIn Radio app or visit tunein.com. You can also listen by phone. Dial 1-563-999-3221. Visit our website at www.wghcfm.org.
It's so good, praise the Most High God every day with your whole heart and desire. Lift the mind, holy, 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 holy.
Hello, I'm Jesse White, Illinois Secretary of State.
This is Danielle Mitchell with Average Black Girl.
Hey, this is Don from Our Voice.
This is Jeff Badu from Badu Tax Services.
My name is Agwedima.
My name is Olivier Kamanzi.
This is Chateau.
My name is Eme Adibe.
And you're listening to Progressive Mind.
Progressive Mind.
Progressive Minds with your host, Alinko, on WGHC 98.3.
It's every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. on WGHC 98.3 FM.
This is Sana, host of Progressive Minds. You can also call me Alinko. Join me every Tuesday between 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. We'll be coming your way with topical issues that pertain to our community, issues that relate to you and I. Join the #1 community building show in the entire world as we seek to uplift our community. If you're outside the range, just download the TuneIn app on Google Play Store and search for WGHC. If you're an Apple user, just go to your App Store and download WGHC app. You can also ring 563-999-3221 to listen to us live. Search for Progressive Minds on Facebook, like the page, and turn on your notification. You can also catch us on YouTube by searching for Progressive Minds. Progressive Minds, to whom much is given, much is required. Thank you, people of the world. Welcome to the Progressive Mind Show here at WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. Here is another edition. Here's another edition of the Business Forum, where we talk to people who are in the business world, and sometimes not necessarily in the business world, but are taking initiatives and community projects that are benefiting and helping people. As a result, we have two very important people who are going to be featured here tonight. You don't want to miss this. Next to my left is the Commissioner Rosa Escarano.
Yes.
And she is the Commissioner for Business Affairs and Consumer Protection with the City of Chicago. Very important and high-profile personality. A lot of information is going to be disseminated tonight, so you want to stay tuned. If you just join us on Facebook, Progressive Minds page, share the feed so your friends and my friends can benefit from this discussion tonight. She's here with her friend, her assistant, her buddy, Lilia Chachakon. I don't know why she's standing behind the camera. Very soon she's going to join her. And after, she's going to be with us for a short time, after which we'll have Prevent Blindness, who are going to be coming after her. If you are now within the range, which is within the north side and somewhat close to Medical District side of Chicago, you can get us on the website. You can actually obviously listen to us on our website, which is wghcfm.org. We are a 24/7 FM station, and we are reachable globally on our apps. If you're an iPhone user, download the app, which is WGHC FM. For Android users, download the TuneIn app and then search for WGHC. There's a little trick to Android users. It always would suggest a free month trial. Look on top of your screen, X out of it, then you can access the app. There's also a number you can ring in to listen live. It's 563-999-3221. 563-999-3221. Rosa is going to be talking about her department, what she's doing, the business opportunities, and somewhat financial, opportunities that are there that we can take advantage of to help us establish our own businesses. But before we do that, we have Mike on the line all the way from Boston. Mike, I know you just flew from wherever you flew from and you just landed at Boston. Tell us what the weather, I know the weather in Chicago is 55 degrees, but give us the weather, the health and fitness update, please.
Hey, Senna, how you doing? Greetings from Beantown.
All right. Greetings from Chicago. We are doing excellent. The commissioner says hi.
Hello. How are you?
How you guys doing? All right. Hey, I don't know why they call it Beantown. Maybe we could have that as a contest question. I guess I should know that, huh?
Absolutely. That's something we have to look into. I'm already interested. All right.
Okay, as Senna mentioned, you have some pretty decent weather there in Chicago. So the next couple of days, you're going to have some dry weather. Cooler tonight, going to have some gusty winds, lows in the 40s. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, mid-50s to the lower 60s. Going to get down into the 40s again, mostly cloudy skies. And the weekend's going to be the same, upper 50s and down into the 40s, maybe dipping into the 30s. So keep those coats around just in case.
Brilliant. What's in there for sports, health, and fitness, please?
All right, your sports tonight. You have some NBA action. Milwaukee's going to be in Boston, actually. The series is tied up 2-2. That game is underway. Miami's going to be in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a 3-1 series lead. San Antonio is going to be at Golden State, and Golden State can wrap it up tonight with a 3-1 series lead. Seattle's going to be in Chicago playing the White Sox. That game is underway. The Cubs are going to be in Cleveland. They're also playing now. In the UEFA Championships, Liverpool destroyed Roma 5-2. And our health updates. Well, this is very applicable to all of us here. Anyone who's carrying 30 or more pounds of extra weight, according to Wake Forest Medical Center, even if you don't have a history of high blood pressure or heart disease, you may develop metabolic syndrome within 10 years. That puts you at a greater risk for cardiovascular disease and a 5 times greater risk for diabetes. So that's a good incentive to get into the gym and let's lose those pounds and get ready for the summer with our bikini bodies.
There you go, my brother. I was going to ask you what's the meaning of all that and what we should do, but I just remembered that you and I are a doctor, you're a pilot, so I'll let you slide on that one, my brother.
Okay.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much for that update. We will see you next week.
All right. Sounds good. You guys have a good night.
All right, man. Stay safe. Thank you. That was Mike for giving us the health and fitness update. Thank you so much. We would take one short break and come back with Commissioner Rosa Escarano.
I was lost inside the desert fortress, circling round my head, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. I was just another sheep inside the belly of the beast, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. Guru Guru Meche Meche, I am a farmer, hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Meche, I am a farmer, hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Meche, I am a farmer, hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Meche, I am a farmer, hallelujah, hallelujah. This ain't lucky, no. Can't you see the hand of heaven is upon you? This ain't lottery, no. This is 40 days and 40 nights. Seek and you shall find. I say more muscle to your hustle, more butter to your bubble, more blessing to the talika. May God give you all the barika. More muscle to your hustle, more butter to your bubble, more blessing to the talika. May God give you all the barika. I was lost inside the desert fortress, circling round my head, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. I was just another sheep inside the belly of the beast, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. Why is that? Who's on there? I'm available. I'm available. Boy, boy, bang, bang. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. I'm available. Call me, I'm available. I'm available. I'm available. Call me, I'm available. Available. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be talking to the Commissioner Rosa Escarano. Escarano has been in Chicago for some time. She has been with the city of Chicago. Before she got into the position of commissioner, she was working as head of operations for Rahm Emanuel, the mayor. And tell me how. Okay, I'm assuming you were a soccer fan.
Well, I was a soccer player in high school. I was the goalie.
You were at Zacatecas?
I was born in Zacatecas.
And I'm sure you're a fan of Zacatecas Football Club.
You know what? I've been a little bit out of the loop, but I'm definitely a fan of soccer,
Okay.
and every chance I get, I do watch it. My son was in mini soccer league up here on Wilson Avenue for a couple years, and we've moved on since then to Hapkido. But yeah.
And then you play soccer, you said?
When I was in high school, yes.
It's been a little
game. While.
It's a beautiful game, isn't it?
I love it, yes.
How has growing up or, migrating from Zacatecas in Mexico and living there, how has the life there inspired you to become such a public figure? Because looking at your resume, it looks like you are so much people-oriented person. And most of your work has been people-oriented. So how has that upbringing inspired you to get to where you are today?
Sure. That's a great question. I don't often get an opportunity to talk about that, but, Chicago is truly a city of immigrants. I came to this country at the age of 8. And I will tell you that my upbringing in Mexico, growing up in Mexico as a child, certainly have made me who I am today. I still have a family in Mexico. My grandmother actually was a small store owner in Mexico, and so it's interesting that I am now heading up the Department of Business Affairs and Licensing. So it really does take me back. And I think I love working for the city of Chicago because I have an opportunity to give back. It's one way to just give back a lot of what I've been given over the years.
Right.
But it also takes me back to not only my grandmother and what it takes to really run a business, but it also gives me an opportunity in this position to support our immigrant communities as well as every community in Chicago, individuals that are looking to start a business. It's such an honorable work and such hard work. And so I take great pride in knowing that I can help in every way that we can.
Brilliant. BACP is the Business Affairs and Consumer Protection,
Yes.
which you are the commissioner of.
Yes.
Big institution or big organization representing the city of Chicago. If you take LA, maybe New York, the next big one is Chicago.
Yes.
Big city in all measures. How does the pressure of handling this job, how are you able to balance it with dealing with little Mikey?
Yes. So, I think you have to have great support systems. I think I've been a public servant really all my professional career. And I think that being in public service, I think, serves as a great example for my child and for my family, really. It really is an opportunity to demonstrate to my son and to my family members that what we do is so important. Government here, specifically here in Chicago, I think, and to what you just said, Chicago is the third largest city, and we are a city of broad shoulders. And we, through my Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, we license over 60,000 businesses in the city, but we have two roles. We not only are the licensing and regulatory arm for businesses, which means we license, we also regulate businesses, but we also conduct consumer protection. So we work with businesses, but when a business is not providing proper services, or if there is fraud being committed, we protect consumers from that side as well. So we serve two roles. It is an important job. I take it very, very seriously. I have a great team, Lilia, who is here with me. We have a great team. This is not a job that I do alone. I'm supported by a great team of professionals that without them, really, this job could not be done.
It looks like in the city of Chicago, there are more cranes up in the air than any other city. Looks like it. So you would say for big businesses, looks like life is good. Now, for small businesses, would you say the same thing for them?
You know, I think we're going through a very unique time right now. Yes, you're right. I think the mayor really is very proud of the fact of the emergence and growth that our city is seeing. But I think it is a really important time. I think technology has a lot to do with what's happening with our business world. And so while we do see a lot of growth in all parts of the city, and I'll tell you, I live on the northwest side of the city, we see growth there. So when there is growth in the economy, businesses are at the front of that. And I will tell you, yes, small businesses, just like larger businesses, are extremely important. As a matter of fact, and I don't know if people know this, but the greatest job creators of our economy are small businesses.
Absolutely.
And it is the small businesses that are the true job creators. When you have a small business that hires 2, 3, 4, 5 people, are really the blood of
the bloodline of the economy.
Absolutely. So for my department, and certainly for the mayor, it is so critical that we are supporting the small business owners, because I will tell you, and not to say that we don't support the larger businesses, but the larger businesses have the wherewith. They have systems, and they have a little bit more financial capacity to get the support that they need, or hire professionals to help them. But the small business owner, the mom and pop, that's why we're there. Right. We at the city can provide the services without that additional cost burden on them. If you come to our office downtown, and if you don't have an attorney, you don't have a business plan, you don't have information about lending, guess what? We can provide that for free. And one of the things why I love the fact that you have us here, and so thank you so much for inviting us, is that the more we're able to inform the public, you don't have to be out there by yourself doing this. If you have an idea, and you starting a business is the dream. For many people, is the dream of their lifetime. And so often they are doing this alone. They don't have to. We ask them to come on in and see us, or go to our website. We have so many great resources. And so I hope to get that message out.
That's brilliantly put. The phone lines has not been open yet, but it looks like people are calling. But we would probably, before we get to that, we have a caller who has a question for her? Oh, well, okay, we might as well take it.
Sure.
Hey, caller, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, my name is Rebecca, and I'm calling from Chicago. Yeah, I want to ask the commissioner that I just started a business and I don't have money to run the business. So how can I get a loan? How can I apply for a loan? And how will be the payment? Will the interest be a little bit high? So as it's a small business, I just started like a fashion business. So how could you help me? And
Sure.
where can I register my business? I live in Plainfield. Where can I register my business?
So I will tell you that my department, the Department of Business Affairs, Consumer Protection, we are local government, and so I work for the Chicago government. You are in Plainfield, the suburbs, whatever suburb you are in. There's probably an office in that branch of government that you would go and seek that information. But for callers or for listeners who are in the city of Chicago, so the resources that we have are specific to the residents that are going to operate in Chicago. But I will tell you, many of the organizations that we work with actually can help residents outside of the city. But I'm just saying, from the perspective of licensing, we manage and handle local residents. But let me just tell you a little bit about lending. In Chicago, I don't know about Plainfield, and you can find out more with your local officials. But in Chicago, we work very closely with micro lenders. So there are different types of loans out there. There are your traditional loans that you work with your banker on. The banks are usually lending for larger amounts, maybe over 250,000, 500,000, you will work with a lender. What we at the City of Chicago have done is we've created partnerships with 3 micro lenders. And actually, since the mayor has been in office, we used to only have one micro lender, which was Acción. Since the mayor has been in office, we actually have created 3 micro lenders. CMI, Women's Business Development Center, and Acción Chicago. And what the micro lenders do is that they work with individuals that are looking for loans between 50,000 or even less, and 100,000. So you want to talk to micro lenders. We always talk when businesses are starting. We always tell people you want to do your homework first before you actually are trying to get a loan or trying to finance your business. Many business owners who are starting often make a lot of financial mistakes in that they make a lot of investment up front without really understanding the licensing process. So I would always encourage you to, number one, you should always have a relationship with a banker, even if you're not going to be getting your loan through that bank. Because I think the most important thing as a business owner or even as an individual who's looking for a loan, you need to have good credit score, right? And so your banker is going to tell you, you're going to need to have some banking history. So you have your savings account, you have a checking account. So starting off with your bank is the right thing to do. And then if your bank can't lend you, there are resources available. I know the SBA, who is also our partner at the city, they provide different kinds of loans, and then they have certain requirements. But I would encourage you to actually, depending on the kind of business that you're looking to do, that you actually do your homework. Try to really understand how much you need. Often people go and rent a location, pay for the lease, and then when they go and actually pull a license, then later they find out that the business activity that they're looking to pursue isn't supported by zoning laws or by the building requirements are not in line. So we always say, go to your local municipality. If you're in Chicago, come see us. Tell us what your business activity is. When I say activity, are you looking to start a restaurant? Are you looking to start a retail store? And then from there, you can start to then, we start a lot of questions. And we tell you,
and then you play an advisory role.
Absolutely. Then we can tell you, hey, actually to start a restaurant, there are certain requirements in the code for establishing a kitchen. Or, in some businesses, you don't need anything other than a storefront. So do a little bit of homework. I would say start out with your bank and then look at micro lenders in your area. Acción Chicago, I know, is everywhere. And they're a great micro lender. But I would say look at micro lenders first and go from there.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was a brilliant response. I was going to ask, from what you just said, there was a question, but you touched a little bit on it, so I'm just going to hit you on that one. It's about what are the indications from your office regarding people who have started small businesses? Are there starts looking like they are growing or they're just falling out? Because a lot of time people are skeptical. Should I do this business? I hear when you do this, when you go into retail or when you go into restaurants, a lot of people are going and they are failing. So maybe if you can give some consumer confidence
to
which businesses are thriving and which ones are not?
You know, what I would say, it's less about, again, it's a very dynamic time. I think technology is having a very interesting impact on businesses. And, you know, you hear a lot of reports that brick and mortar or, you know, businesses that are in actual establishments are not growing as much. But then there's other studies that actually say, actually, they are growing.
Right.
So this is what I would say to people. What is your passion? And then once you know what that is, you're going to put your heart and soul into it. Then what I would say, first decide what you're going to do, and then do the following. You need to do your
Due diligence.
Your homework. We at the City of Chicago provide all kinds of free workshops. And I think that that's actually where you want to start, because we bring in so many professionals. We have 2 workshops a week. Everything is free at the city. And so don't pay for anything. Come to City Hall. We have our workshop schedule changes monthly. It's always on the website. We do workshops every Wednesday and Friday. And we bring every professional, everything from online businesses to how to start a restaurant to what inspections are necessary for different businesses. We bring in micro lenders. We bring in Google to talk about all the products that they provide online, how you can manage your business online. So I think getting that free, everything you can do for free, do it. Don't spend any money. But I think doing that homework and really understanding what it is that you have a passion for. When you have a passion for something, it doesn't matter that the world is failing. If you have a passion and then you get knowledge about what is the best location, what is the best time to start those businesses, that's what you learn through education. And we do that for free.
Exactly, which is what I was going to say. You provide that.
Yes, we provide that.
Since you have all these numbers, I mean, when it comes to business and all the things that go with it, it's your office that handles that. Maybe you might want to educate or maybe throw a little bit of light on how it's looking for minority communities. The different ethnic groups that we have in Chicago, how are they doing in terms of poverty level, economic-wise, business? Sure. How is it looking like?
Well, I want to tell you, Chicago is a sanctuary city, as everybody knows. I mean, the mayor does very passionate about making sure that we are supporting our small businesses. And I'm not sure if you know this, and I don't know the exact statistics, but immigrant communities are one of the more thriving business innovators. They enter the market and they are fearless. And so we have such dynamic communities across the city, everything from Wilson Avenue to Pilsen to Hyde Park to Little Village. Every single neighborhood in our city has unique communities. And what I would say is that the small business owners are risk takers. And the only thing that I would say is that generally the data indicates that most businesses, there is a high rate of and I don't know the percentage, but there is a high rate of risk taking in those first few years. And so the first 5 years of starting a business will tell whether you will fail or grow. That's why when you start a business, it's so important to do the homework. In Chicago, I will tell you that it's really, in many cases, it's about the location. But we have statistics that indicate that you can actually do very well just depending on what is your product. So product, location, resources, those are the kinds of things that people that start up want to be learning and educating themselves on. We have, I think we have great businesses in Chicago.
I'm sure you also have numbers showing businesses that have started, small businesses or initiatives that have started and that have failed, and those ones that have thrived, right? Which one is looking good? Is it that more businesses have done well than the ones that have failed?
Well, I think because businesses are so dynamic, and one of the things that I try not to do is I try not to be the predictor of who's going to fail and who's going to grow. But I will tell you this, because in government, our job is not to provide a direction for businesses. Our job is to support businesses.
Okay.
But this is why we provide a lot of free education. We have the experts come in and provide you that guidance, provide the businesses that guidance. But I will tell you this about Chicago. Chicago today is known as a mecca of hospitality. We are considered leaders in the culinary industry. one of, I think, the best things about having such amazing communities is that you can go from one community to the next and have a different experience. So I can come into this area and have everything from, Korean duck to, to Mexican food to, African food. But I can go downtown and then have, all their kinds of experiences. So in Chicago, the culinary experience is huge. We have food trucks that are thriving because they go everywhere in the city, and our food trucks are good representers of the kinds of cuisine that we have.
Because of time, let me follow up with this question.
Sure.
Does one's immigration status determine their eligibility for a loan or assistance to start a business?
So I will tell you that we are a sanctuary city, like I indicated. In Chicago, if you have a dream and you want to start a business, you come in and you talk to us. We don't require any documentation of any kind to start a business. Now, in the business world, because of the state and federal requirements, there are often requirements for Social Security. But in Chicago, we will also take an ITIN in replacement of a Social Security. Our goal is to support our residents. Our goal is not to determine what your residency status is. And so we love to have everybody come in.
If somebody has a business already registered in outside America and they come here and they want to use that same business license to operate here, first of all, is that allowed? And secondly, do they have to work with you to get that going?
Mm-hmm. So in Chicago, in order to have a business in Chicago, you have to have a location in Chicago, or you have to have an office in Chicago.
Okay.
So we have many international businesses that actually operate out of here. We license everything from your bars and taverns to your Fortune 500 companies. And the requirement for the city of Chicago is that you must provide an office location where we can actually conduct business with you. So for example, if you are going to operate in Chicago, we need to know where to find you, where to serve you with documents, and where we can register you as an official location in Chicago.
Okay. So you cannot operate in Chicago with maybe your international business license?
Well, you can operate in Chicago, but you will be required to have your own license in Chicago.
Okay.
And you actually are required to be registered with the state regardless of whether you're in Chicago or not.
So you've been trying hard to reach the communities to say, hey, we are here to provide you help because we want you to thrive and everything. What are some of the challenges preventing you from achieving your goals?
Well, I think that's why I'm so happy to be here today. I think it's really about communication. I think often our communities fear City Hall, fear government, and really we are there to support you. And so it's really about getting that word out. It's about how do we reach everyone, and it is through these interviews, it is through social media that we hope to really advance our message and really to get to everyone. We know a lot of people are operating legally or operating in their homes. The only thing I say is come see us. Oftentimes when we find individuals that are operating, it's because somebody calls and complains about someone, and then we come out looking. And so we always prefer people to walk in through our doors. We're never out looking for people. We're always complaint driven, so we're always responding to complaints. And our goal is to get everybody into the fold, get them to be part of our industry, and to help us grow as a city.
Brilliant. We know your time is short with us today because of your busy schedule. So we're now going to push you with a lot of questions. Lastly, what would you want to tell anybody that's listening to us? Before that, I think I have a few. I have a question here for you.
Sure.
From Maya Elaine, she says, do you keep record of percentage of minority businesses that the Department of Business assists help startups?
Well, what I can tell you is that we keep businesses of all our licensing activities, and we work very closely with our procurement office. The Office of Procurement is the office that actually oversees just general contracting, and they monitor our vendors in that way. We don't keep those numbers because we really just license everyone. Our goal is to work with the chambers and organizations to really get those numbers. So I can get them, and I work with our partners to actually get those numbers. But for us, what's important is how are we licensing everybody across the city? It is very important for us to grow diversity and to support growth. But we work for the residents, and so whoever comes through our door is who we support. And but yes, we work with our partners to try to figure out if we need to do more in certain communities, but it's through our partners that we depend on that.
Last question, Rosa.
Yes.
Is there any preferential treatment or any maybe consideration given to people who are like let's say the poor of the poorest? If they declare such a status, or if you determine them to be poor of the poorest, but they're still wanting to do something, is there any concession or grants or any extra help that you give to those people?
Well, I think that, we work with a lot of partners, and it's through our partners that we can, if there are individuals out there that are looking to start a business but don't have those initial funds to start, we really depend on our partners. Okay. I will tell you, though, that next week is Small Business Week. We will be out there. We will be working very closely with the chambers across the city to get the message out. And I think if those are the kinds of programs that we need to develop, we will work with our partners to try to support that community more.
Brilliant. So, your last words. When is your next event coming up? How can people find you? And yes, basically that.
Yeah,
the last words.
Yeah, so what I would say, if you really want to know more about us, visit us online. We have monthly calendars. We are out in the community with 5 big expos across the city a year. Just go to the cityofchicago.org, business affairs, and you will find us. Or you can always call 311 and they will direct you to our office. But we are on social media, shybiz.org, and you can find us there as well.
I forgot one last question. Do you give grants?
We do not give grants, but again, we work with partners who actually do. The grants that we provide are specific to chambers of commerce because it's the chambers of commerce that then support the individual business owners.
Oh, okay. I understand. The reason why I asked that is that WGAC needs some of that.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we can try to figure out who your chamber partner is and see if there's any more work we can work with you on.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Rosa Escarano, you've been great. You've been helpful to the community tonight. We know because of business, we are hoping that we can get more of your time to dive into these things. Hopefully next time we can do that.
Absolutely. I'm happy to come back.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for helping the show. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. So welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show, and I'm your host Alinko. As if you don't already know. Yes, I know some of you don't know. Some of you just joined us. This is Alinko. We are at WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. Watch out for May 26th because it's a big one coming up. Is WGAC Street Fest here in the Uptown area. We're going to be promoting WGHC. We want the world to know that we are here and we have arrived. We are also going to be campaigning against gang violence in the city of Chicago, specifically in the Uptown area, an area which has suffered from a lot of gang violence and crime. And so we, as an organization, want to take our stand, and that's basically that's what we stand for. This evening, though, is a business forum. If you joined us earlier, we were speaking with the Commissioner for Business Affairs and Consumer Protection in the person of Rosa Escarano. She just left us, told us what her office is doing. So if you're interested in business, setting up one, if you're confused about your goals and planning and find where to get finance, do not hesitate to contact the city of Chicago. That part of the business forum is done. Tune your mind, calibrate your mind to prevent blindness. We are going to be talking about prevention of blindness. There's beautiful ladies here. The middle is Catherine Muller. The one on the right did not tell me her name. She just showed up. So Ms. Drigas. All right, thank you. And then next to Catherine Muller, who is the Education and Communication Manager for Prevent Blindness, is here to talk about prevention of blindness. And then next to her, on her right, is my own friend, my very stubborn friend. I call her stubborn. No, she's not stubborn. She's not stubborn friend. Mary Otu is here, and she's also an MPH student or graduate. Brilliant. And she's a volunteer with Prevent Blindness. Yes. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Progressive Mind Show.
Thank you.
Here is where we build our community show by show. So tell us why you were here. Or again, if you want, tell us a little bit more about you, what you would want the public to know about you, and then we can delve into your reason for being here. Okay. We'll start with Catherine.
Sure.
Because you're in the middle.
As I mentioned, my name is Catherine Mueller. I'm here with our organization. It's called Prevent Blindness. I am the Education and Communications Manager here in Illinois. Prevent Blindness is actually a national nonprofit organization. So I can talk a little bit about what we do after we go through introductions, but we'll be focusing on, as we mentioned today, talking about preventing blindness, and talking about our eye health and vision health.
Mary Otu.
Hi, again, my name is Mary Otu, and I am an MPH graduate from the University of Illinois at Chicago. I started volunteering with Prevent Blindness, I believe, late March, I want to say. And we are just here to inform you, educate you, and give you some tips on how to take care of your vision.
Mary, aside doing health stuff,
okay,
what else do you like to do?
I like to sing.
Like to sing. Why aren't you in the church choir?
Oh my God.
Okay, we'll skip that question. What? All right, that's fine. Tell us what else you like apart from singing.
I like to sew. I mean, I haven't done that in a while, but I like to crochet and sew.
Okay. Catherine, if you may.
Oh, I love being outdoors. I try and be outdoors when the weather's nice as much as I can. Walking around, exploring all the different neighborhoods in Chicago and broader Metro Chicago.
And then enjoying Chicago food.
Oh, of course. Everything.
There's a lot of nice restaurants in Chicago.
Never variety runs out.
Absolutely. Yes, please.
And I'm Elise. My name is Elise Feynman. I am the Executive Director of the Illinois Society for Prevention of Blindness and the Illinois Director for Prevent Blindness. And I'm very happy to be here, too.
Oh, why didn't they tell me that the director is coming?
It's the mystery guy.
It's a mystery.
I'm here to, shake things up.
Yes. And shaking things you will do tonight.
There you go.
We want to shake people. We want to shake people's perspective on the issue of blindness, because it's not something we generally talk about, right? When it comes to health, we are prone, or most of the time it's the generic ones, cholesterol, diabetes, all that. And so it's very good that you have an organization such as yours, which is determined to shed a lot of light on blindness. So we wanted to take a break before we come back to it, but it's about 7:50 already, And so because of the content of what you have to talk about, we'll want to delve straight into it.
Sure.
And then down the lane, we'll take a break. Sounds good?
That sounds great.
Okay, who wants to shoot first? Director, the manager, or the volunteer?
I'll go for it.
All
the
right.
volunteer. Okay. So I want to share with you why it's important to get routine routine eye exams.
Mhm.
And as Senna said, this is something that a lot of people do not pay attention to until something happens. But I cannot imagine anybody saying that of all my senses, I would like to lose if I'm supposed to lose one, I don't think you would want to choose your eyes. Because when you lose your eyesight, there are quite a number of things that you cannot do. If you like to read, you cannot drive. It would interfere with your life. It's going to affect the quality of your life as well. If you're somebody who is very independent, you're going to be dependent. It may also bring about depression. So the long short of this is that your vision is important, and we are here to make you, in case you haven't realized that already, that it is important to do so. So I have two stories here to share with you. So this is a story about an optometrist who was able to save a 7-year-old's life. The 7-year-old had a brain tumor, and that was discovered after the 7-year-old went to get an eye exam. So essentially, getting an eye exam could bring up some issues that doctors have not been able to detect yet. So once that is done, you can get your life saved. So there's another story of a teenager who was 15 years old. He also went to the doctor. I believe he was going for like a soccer camp, something of that nature. He went in. When he went in, the doctor had a look at his eye, the back of his eye, which is the retina, and there were a number of spots there. So the doctor got suspicious. He requested for a blood check, and then when it came down to it, his blood cells were low, and when they checked it later, he had leukemia. So this was another way that they could detect something that doctors had not been able to figure out yet. So he went straight into treatment, and his life was saved. So all that we are trying to say with these stories is that while you may have other things to worry about, your vision is important, and you could detect other problems when you get your eye exam.
That's beautiful. Maybe I'll have the director expand on a little bit of what she said. How critical is the eye to the determinant of some of the illness in our body, in our human?
Right. You can detect actually a lot of things by looking into your eye and into the back of the eye. Whether you have diabetes can affect your eye and your vision. High blood pressure is also another thing that can affect your vision and your eyesight. So it's hard, though, because people don't understand that they have to go see a special doctor. It's not like you can just go for your annual checkup at your regular old doctor and be able to get an eye exam. They may be able to do an eye screening, which I know we're going to talk about in a little bit, the difference between what a screening is and an eye exam itself. But it does not take the place of going to a doctor, either an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, and getting your eyes dilated, because that's how they see what's going on inside and in the back of your eye. That's how they were able to see the tumors and the spots on the retina. So it is very important, because without your sight, you do lose a lot of independence.
Did you, Catherine, wanted to add something to that?
You know, it's interesting. We were talking about the importance of vision. So there was a study that was done, a recent survey of 11,000 people, and this was in 11 countries around the world. And it was done by the eye care company Bausch & Lomb. And this was in 2012. So just kind of echoing what we've been saying about how people really do care about their eyes and really want to take care of them. In that survey, they found that 70% of people around the world said they would rather lose a limb, or that they would give up 10 years of their life instead of having that loss of eyesight. So it's interesting, because we say vision is very important, we feel it, we know it, yet in that same survey, the same people that were studied said only of that group, about a third of them were doing what they needed to do to actually take care of their eyes. So while we know vision is important, we're not always doing the steps or getting those exams in, or things that will really protect our eyesight, and having the lifestyle that will take care of our eyes as well.
I wish we had a doctor here to tell us how many of our the veins go through the eye and all that, because it looks like, as they say, it's the gates to the human body. So it makes sense from what you were saying that if it connects to every part of our body, then it's also easy for some of these diseases to be determined by just getting your eye checked, properly. The reason why I want to elaborate on this a little bit more is that more often than not, people from, at least I know from Ghana, from that part of the world, we hardly get our general health checked, let alone check our eye, the health of our eyes. And so I think this conversation is very important to the people in my community and beyond, to start paying attention to the importance of the role that our eye play in determinant of the health, overall health of our bodies, right? And so this is very important. What else is there that you would want people to hear or to know about prevention of blindness?
Today we'll be able to discuss some important areas.
Okay.
I think we'll kind of get into what are some eye diseases that we see commonly, just in general, but also for people of African descent, which are the ones that we hear about a lot. Kind of go into, if there are any signs. What we'll learn is with a lot of eye disease, you may not know that there's anything happening. It may be that symptoms don't happen right away. So we'll talk about that a little bit, talking about what you can do as well.
Okay.
And I think one of the biggest problems that any community, whether you're here in the States or abroad in other countries, is access to care. So Catherine grew up in Africa, and I spent a lot of time in South America, and I just went back to visit my friends there, and I said to them, where's the nearest eye doctor? And I was miles and miles and miles, hours away from the capital, and they said the only place that there are eye doctors are in the capital. So I would have to get in a car and drive 6 hours to see an eye doctor.
Exactly.
And that's why they don't see anyone.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It looks like society has just, for some reason, we just don't talk about the eye, even though it's that important. When I was growing up as a teenager, I wasn't wearing glasses. I started wearing glasses at the age of 20, and I didn't even pay attention to it. I started realizing I was getting blurred vision. I used to play basketball a lot. But then when things were going bad with my eyes, I'm like, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Until it got to a point where I had to use glasses. Perhaps if I had gotten things checked out, I probably would have, been in a bad shape with regards to my eyes, because it got really bad to the point where, you see how thick my glasses are now?
Sometimes Mary, it just happens with age.
Mary, this one, don't laugh too much, because after I like to get on the case because he's my good friend. Stay tuned, listeners. We will be back we'll be back with this discussion with Prevent Blindness, with these wonderful ladies. On the right is Elise, and then Catherine, and then Mary. We shall be right back.
Another love song. Yeah. Tell them, hey, why me? They define me. I'm not on them up. Tie me, you they tie me. And my heart is loco. Kai me, you they kai me. Say I got love. When I look into your eyes, why away from Abuja to Baleshi. You dey my back and no go question. Your love be one in town brand new, they know they sell and for Kandeshi. From Abuja to Baleshi, you dey my back and no go question. Yeah. I don't see nobody like you. Can't find my way, baby mo. Lost in your jungle, baby mo. Can't find my way, baby mo. Lost in your jungle, my mama de talk, see me I no go listen, no. My papa de talk, see me I no go listen, no. My mama de talk, see me I no go listen, no. My papa de talk, see me I no go listen, no. I when me say again, I swear they up on the altar. Words are true and a flatter. Man relax a rasta, ready for the journey, genuine chapter. Imagine all the love that we will share, making our babies and living together. So zingelele. Come make we dance the jingololo. Bononi makelele. Baby mo, baby mo.
Mampapada, Mampani Mesa Sada, Kobe Panke, Ebu Neblada Basana, ya rock harda swaga, be Medaba, find him Go Gaga, Mayanja Mayeli yet men should be this is putty against the Wada Shadeno. But you know who Pamentasi, Namatasa, someone you know when Timothy Mobile, when you made that so when you are in the Malamada.
Can't find my way, yeah, baby mo. Lost in your jungle, oh baby mo. Can't find my way, yeah, baby mo. Lost in your jungle, oh. My mama the talk, yeah. See me, I don't go listen, no. My papa the talk, yeah. See me, I don't go listen, no. My mama the talk, yeah. See me, I don't go listen, no. My papa the talk, yeah. See me, I don't go listen, no. Yeah. Your happiness, yeah. Be my happiness, baby. You cool my chest. It be your smile, they take my stress away. Dreamy, continually you there for my dreaming. Akumemu, never you leave me. Nigeria, make I can't find my way, yeah, baby mo. Lost in your jungle, oh baby mo. Can't find my way, yeah.
This is WGHC 98.3 FM.
Many Africans feel very strongly about their motherland. Africa is a continent that calls those who are born or rooted in any of its countries to always return home, especially after leaving this earth. The truth is, African diaspora communities in the US, Canada, and Europe still struggle when it comes to the repatriation of the remains of their loved ones back home. The frustration that people experience when they are forced to leave their loved ones remains abroad is a terrible thing to endure. This is why Corporate Workforce Solutions developed RC, a mobile app to help raise funds for funerals and repatriation, but more importantly, take care of the kids left behind with huge amounts of bills, rent, mortgage, and education costs. Let's come together to create a much larger community to make fundraising for funerals and repatriation seamless and effortless. Strength is always in numbers, and RC is meant to be the perfect platform to help the African diaspora raise funds. Join RC today and strengthen your sense of community within the African diaspora. By so doing, it will bring peace of mind to you and many others who are worried about the remains of their loved ones being abandoned in a foreign country. A single hand cannot tie a bundle. Even the strongest and richest needs their community through a rough time. The benefit guarantee per event is $15,000 for US and Canada and $7,500 for Europe. RC is easy to use and loaded with great features. Download the app from Google Play and the App Store. On Google Play, search for RC, and on the App Store, search for RC Donation. RC is available for the African diaspora in the US, Canada, and Europe. To learn more about RC, visit us at www.corporatewfs.com or email us at rcdonation@corporatewfs.com. Sign up today. RC, in a true spirit of African solidarity.
Welcome back to the show with Alinko, your host. We'll go back to Prevent Blindness, folks, to tell us more about reason why they're here, preventing blindness, the importance of keeping your eyes healthy. Before we do that, there are a few people who have joined us on Facebook and we would like to recognize them. James Wilson says more power. Edwin Donko is watching us. Rosie Lagunas, IL says, so proud of you, Mary. And then Christian Akabutu, my brother, what's up, Joe? Johnny Wood says, great topic. Gloria Walden is also here. Sarah says, Sarah and Jackie are so proud of you, Mary. Way to go. And then Dumega Seram Koshi Nanya Wude says, he's watching all the way from Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, spread the word in Ghana. All right, share the page there so our folks can benefit from this discussion. And then he says, proud of Lalas. Maya Elaine is also here with us. And then K Mesa, Big Daddy. What's up, bro? He says, nice topic. Thank you, my brother. Mike Quendo, which is, I'm sure that's the son of Rosa. Michael Corantin is here, says watching. Rebecca Mother says beautiful. And then a few folks that I can see. Patricia Edu Mensa says accommodate some. I can't pronounce the word, but thank you, Patricia, for joining us. We'll go straight to the discussion. Mula wanted to say something regarding why you're here. Okay.
Sure. Just going back to our organization, Prevent Blindness.
Yes. I wanted to ask you a question. I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about Prevent Blindness, when you started and where you're located, and some of the affiliates you have, if you do, and some partnerships, if there are any of those.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I'll talk about Prevent
Yes.
Blindness, and then I'll turn the floor over to
Okay.
Elise, and she can talk about within Illinois our Society for Prevention of Blindness also.
Okay.
So Prevent Blindness, we have a national presence. We happen to have the headquarters here in Chicago. We also have our Illinois team, Elise and myself, that cover Prevent Blindness activities here in the state. And so our mission is to prevent blindness and to preserve sight. So we do that through working on access to care issues. We do that with offering health education. We have different research programs that are offered. And we try and get out in the community where we know that we have the opportunity to talk about eye health, because really our message is about trying to detect any complications early, have regular exams, and to make sure we take care of our eyes. Anything from with adults and children. So we have programs for all ages and for all different groups. So we do have a presence beyond Illinois. As I was mentioning, we have our national program. Online, we have all kinds of resources that we can talk about later, whether it's downloading printable materials, whether it's just finding an answer to a question you may have online. Our website has a lot of materials that you can look at. And then we are in other states. So we have Prevent Blindness Ohio, Wisconsin, here in the Midwest, Iowa, and then we're in North Carolina, we are in Northern California, Georgia, Texas, and then all within the Northeast region. We have Vermont, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maine, and Massachusetts. We have a presence.
Okay.
So Elise can talk about Illinois Society for Prevention of Blindness.
So there are two different nonprofit organizations that work within our building, and we are located on Wacker and Wells, right across from the Merchandise Mart across the river. The Illinois Society for Prevention of Blindness is 102 years old as of this month, and we have our own board of directors and our own mission as well, and that is we fund a lot of research projects for medical school students and residents and fellows who are in our local universities. So every year we have them apply for grants to look at causes of disease and cures for disease. So we give out grants for that. We also help people with low vision get equipment or aids. So if you go to certain clinics and you're not able to afford your magnifiers or glasses or other things, there are grant programs through the Illinois Society for Prevention of Blindness so that you can receive those devices and be able to live easier and better. And then we also have this education arm, which Catherine was talking about, and an advocacy arm. So we do a lot with government to make sure that eye health and safety is a part of government's interest, to keep it kind of at the forefront. In fact, there were two bills that were recently introduced in the state of Illinois that were going to allow access to very dangerous fireworks for people, just regular old people in Illinois, and both of those bills actually did not get anywhere because there was a lot of advocacy around. I don't think any doctor would support people who don't have training to be around dangerous fireworks. So that's kind of the other thing we do.
Thank you so much. And you wanted to talk about some of the causes of eye diseases before the break. And so we would start from Muller. Okay, Catherine.
Yeah, so we have been talking about the importance of vision, and now I kind of want to use this time to talk about some very common diseases, eye diseases that we see, starting with diabetes and the eye disease that's related with diabetes. So just kind of going into diabetes a little bit, for those of you who kind of want a very basic description of diabetes, we know that diabetes is caused by the body not being able to process food for energy. So as many of you know, when we eat food, it gets changed into glucose or sugar, which then provides our body with energy. And the pancreas is one of our body's organs that's near the stomach. So that makes a hormone that we call insulin. Insulin is needed for this whole process because insulin helps us get that sugar that's needed for our cells for energy. It helps us, insulin helps us to get that energy, that sugar to those cells, that glucose to those cells. So when you have diabetes, there's an issue with insulin. So you can have a kind of diabetes where your body just doesn't make insulin to begin with, or you can have a kind of diabetes where the insulin that you have is not working as well as it should. And so this can cause sugar to build up in the blood. And so that's why many people think of diabetes, they think of sugar. So when we talk about glucose, we're talking about that buildup of that sugar within the blood. So too much sugar in the blood, too much glucose in the blood really causes complications to the body. So kind of for those of you that are watching as a visual, I have in front of me an example of what your blood might look like with somebody who's healthy. And so really blood is getting to the cells, it's getting where it needs to go. I can show you kind of, I have a water bottle with colored water that's representing blood, and it just kind of is an example of blood that flows well. When you have diabetes, as we mentioned, some of the complications start to happen because that blood is not flowing to the parts that it needs to go to. So the second example I have is a bottle that's filled with, I have corn syrup in there to kind of show how slowly our blood is moving when we have diabetes. So it's important to bring that up because as diabetes affects a lot of body organs and systems, with the eyes this becomes a problem as well. So one of the issues for diabetics is that they can develop something called diabetic retinopathy. And what that is it is when blood vessels that are in the eye become damaged by diabetes. So if you imagine if you have a lot of slow-moving blood and is trying to get through very narrow tubes or blood vessels, there's going to be pressure that builds up within those blood vessels. So imagine that pressure just continuing to beat against the walls of very small tubes within your eyes. Eventually they may rupture. Eventually there may be damage within the eye because of that. So that's what happens with diabetic retinopathy. So a person with normal vision, I'm going to show kind of, for example, might be able to see things clearly. There may be a pasture, a meadow with green grass. You know, you don't have any challenges to your vision. When you develop diabetic retinopathy, your vision may suddenly become blurred because you may have spots in your vision. You may not have that normal vision anymore. So this damage may be irreversible when you have damage to the blood vessels in your eye.
So what is the difference between normal vision and diabetic retinopathy?
Retinopathy, I know.
Retinopathy, is it the insulating, the sugar?
It's the damage that has happened to those blood vessels in the eye that is causing your sight to have problems. Right. There's complications.
Because if people aren't watching, it's basically black spots that you see all around your visual field. So it looks odd.
Right?
Yeah.
So you may have spots that you're seeing as you look out with your eyes. You may not have, that clear vision because it may be very spotty and there's things getting in the way of that look like spots. So the challenge is that with diabetic retinopathy, those symptoms may be further down in the process. So you may be developing diabetic retinopathy and not realize that. And so one of the things that we talked about here is the importance of getting your eyes checked early. If there's things that are happening in that eye that are damaging the eye with diabetes, the doctor can find those things early and it doesn't have to lead to permanent sight and vision loss.
You wanted to touch on a little bit more of the causes?
I was going to talk about, well, she talked about the causes, right, which would be like diabetes, sugar, not eating a good diet and all that. But I'm going to talk about glaucoma.
Okay.
So should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. So glaucoma is a degenerative disease that affects the optic nerve. So think about the optic nerve as the connection between your eye and your brain. When that connection breaks, your eye is not able to, the brain is not able to communicate with the eye and the vice versa, so you're not able to interpret what you are seeing, which means you cannot see. So I have this balloon here to illustrate what glaucoma is.
Okay.
So I'm sure you all know of, we all have tears, we have tear ducts, we all have fluids that circulates within the eye. When the path, the flow of this tears is, when it's blocked, the pressure in the eye is going to increase. So think of this balloon as your eye. this part would be the optic nerve that connects your eye to your brain.
The tight knot, the
tight
knot
part.
Okay.
Right. So now I'm going to squeeze the bottom of it, and that's going to represent me increasing the pressure in the eye. So once I do that, the more I do it, possibly this part is going to break, right? And that is the damage that would happen to your optic nerve. So the damage could happen. You could have high pressure, but that doesn't always result in damage. Once the damage occurs, then you have glaucoma. So to prevent that from happening, you get routine eye checkups. They check your pressure, and then they try to manage the pressure using eye drops. So the eye drops help reduce the pressure so that glaucoma does not occur. However, if you do not follow regimen or you do not do it right, glaucoma could occur. And this is one of the glaucoma causes blindness that is not reversible. So once you lose your eyesight to glaucoma, you cannot get it back. The only thing they can do is to help maintain the sight that you have left. So it's irreversible. So it is important to go in and get it checked so that in case your pressure is high, you can use eye drops to reduce the pressure before glaucoma occurs. So
I'm trying to understand. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, you did. That was a brilliant explanation of what glaucoma is. But I still want to be able to understand. So what causes glaucoma? Is it the pressure?
It's the pressure.
Oh, okay. So the more pressure you have coming from which part of the eye? I mean, I'm trying to understand exactly what glaucoma is. You explained it, but I still want to get. I think I didn't get it properly.
So there are so many types of glaucoma, and the common one would be open angle glaucoma.
Okay.
So this is where there is like an angle, between your iris, and I forget which other structure it is. But when this space is blocked, right, then the flow of the fluids is not going to be consistent, and that pressure is going to build up.
So that's what you call glaucoma.
Right. And I mean, there are other causes. There are people who have cataracts, and once they go through cataract surgery, unfortunately, they could get glaucoma as a,
side effect.
Side effect. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
So, but essentially, it's caused by pressure when your pressure is high.
So the only way to preventing that is getting a constant or consistent eye check. And how often should one do this? You want to do something?
Yes. Okay. So when you get glaucoma, you start losing your vision from the sides.
Okay.
So I know what's going on here. I know what's going on here. But if you have glaucoma, you have tunnel vision. And this is what it looks like.
Tunnel vision.
Tunnel. Yeah. You can only see what's in front of you.
You
can see on the sides.
Peripheral vision.
Okay.
You cannot see from the sides.
Okay. So if you're not watching us on Facebook, there's this image that we're showing here. You can search for Progressive Minds on Facebook so you can see these images. If you can't see it, well, it's your loss, man.
Then go to the eye doctor immediately.
Exactly.
You can't see anything on Facebook.
Okay. This they say pictures or images speaks more louder than words,
right.
And so the images are very good. And so this explains it. My eye itch a lot. Don't tell me it's glaucoma.
No, you may have either allergies or dry eye.
Yes.
Is usually, and it depends on your age. And honestly, glaucoma is also much more prevalent in African and African American and Latino communities. So, and if your mother or father or auntie or anyone else has it, then it's important for you to go and get it checked as well, because it does run in families.
You were done with your...
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to mention some risk factors, which we already talked about. Race and actually gender. You being male is also a risk factor. So the men out there, go check it out. Yes.
So the male are more prone to getting glaucoma than females.
That's what the numbers say.
Okay.
And also if you...
That's how you do us, Mary.
What?
That's how you want to do us.
No, that's just it.
I know. I'm just pulling your legs, Mary.
And also, I read that if long-term use of steroids can also actually increase your pressure.
Okay.
So these are some few things that could result in glaucoma, and injury could also do the same thing.
All right. And I want us to talk about how often one has to go to see a doctor to make sure that they are safe.
Yes. So for diabetes, if you have diabetes, we want you to go in for that eye exam every year. And the doctor may recommend something also in addition to that when they see you. But at minimum, we suggest once a year going in for that exam. And also just keeping your diabetes under control. If you're controlling your blood sugar well, hopefully, and through lifestyle and different things, you're being able to manage your diabetes. By managing diabetes well, guess what? You're managing a lot of your body's functions, their organs, including your eyes well also.
And managing diabetes is not only... What are the steps one can take to manage diabetes, if you say managing diabetes?
So their lifestyle is huge in getting proper nutrition, really working on a plan with your doctor on what that looks like for you, because every person is different. The right amount of physical activity, taking your medications according to what the doctor recommends for you. Having just support is very important, as you know, with any family, to be able to stick to your plan, to be able to have support. And being able to have a good relationship with a doctor, to be able to ask questions, to be able to constantly have that check-in is also very important.
All right. We would come back and continue this discussion. Stay tuned to WGHC 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station, while we take this short commercial break.
Oh my darling, oh my darling, baby Jofa, you know I be loving, you are gone, you know you need this love, indeed, babu, boo, 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 ba, 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 ba. Oh no, girl you make me colo, oh no, girl you make me colo, shaking that ass like colo, spread your money like colo, even the beat they colo, things are man they colo, show you.
Hello, welcome listeners to WGHC 98.3 FM. This is the Progressive Mike Show with your host, Alinko. We're talking to Prevent Blindness. Mary, you wanted to tell us about cataract?
Yes. So, cataract is actually very... people know about cataracts. I mean, they've heard of it, but they don't really know what it is. So you say it about, oh yeah, I heard it before, but they don't really know what it is. So this is a picture of the eye. Right here, you can see there is a natural lens in the eye. And when the lens is actually what reflects light rays onto your retina, and you're able to see.
Which one is the retina? Is it the black one?
No, the red one here.
The red one, okay.
Yeah.
Is the back of the eye?
The back of the eye.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
it's like the film of a camera. That's what we say it
okay.
is, right? Yes. So lights reflect, the lights go into the lens, the lens reflects the lights and they converge on the retina.
Okay.
When the lens is not able to converge on the retina, then your vision becomes blurry. So this is a picture of what like a blurry light rays would look like. It doesn't go on it doesn't converge, so you're not able to see well. So you don't see well, right? So when your lens becomes cloudy, that is when it's termed cataracts.
Okay.
Cataracts is actually reversible blindness, where you can get surgery. So they will take out your natural lens and they'll put in, I think it's called IOP, intraocular lens, which is not a natural lens, but it replaces your natural lens and it does exactly what your lens does. So cataracts is actually reversible, where the other kinds of blindness are not reversible. So the risk factors for that could be sunlight, UV rays. That could also, so it's advisable to wear sunglasses when you're out in the sun. It could be congenital, and usually when the mother has some sort of infection, that's when a child could be born with congenital cataracts. And I have heard of, when a child has congenital cataracts, it's advisable to do surgery early in life, because at that point, the child's eye is still developing, and you want to remove that cataract so that the child could have a chance of getting 20/20 vision in the future. So if you don't do the surgery early, the chance of getting 20/20 vision would never happen. So that is congenital cataracts. It could also occur from injury, when you have someone threw something into your eye, or you accidentally walk into a wall, something, injury could cause that.
Is it why sometimes you see kids, say 5, 7, and they have these thick lenses already? Is it because they may have cataract and their parents have decided not to go through surgery?
Yeah, no, you can't. It's a film. It's like having a film over your eye. If you see children with thick lenses, it's usually because they are nearsighted.
Okay.
Meaning that they need the lenses to be able to see distance.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
And that has nothing to do with cataract.
No.
Cataracts have a buildup of protein that happens that's causing the cloudiness in that lens.
Yeah.
And you said the only way of reversing that is doing surgery.
Yeah, you have to take it out.
And the interesting thing is, most of us, if we live long enough, will have cataracts.
Yeah.
Because it is very related to most of it is related to age.
Okay. All right. Did you want to finish up with it, or Catherine can?
I think we touched on it.
Okay, you wanted to do cataract, which is what you've just done.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll let Catherine go into a little bit more of the information that she has for us.
So we talked about cataracts as an eye disease. We've talked about diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma. So those are the main ones that we wanted to touch upon.
Okay.
There's also, we can talk about, maybe come back to later, blood pressure and how that's related to the eye. What I want to talk about, maybe for the tail end, along with the other two, is about eye exams themselves. What do we mean when we talk about a little bit more about comprehensive eye exams? And what do we mean when we talk about a vision screening? Because you may have heard both. And what would you recommend for adults compared with children? So there are definitely recommendations that we can provide for you all. Getting into an eye exam, I want to kind of talk about what we mean by a dilated eye exam. So we talked about it, I think, a little bit earlier, but when we say a dilated eye exam, we're talking about going to an eye doctor who's an optometrist or an ophthalmologist to go and get this type of eye exam. And many of you may have had this before, where they will put drops in your eye, and the intent is to open up the eye so that they can actually see in the back of the eye. Because what we know about eye diseases that sneak up on us are that a lot of times what's happening in the back of the eye is where it's happening, but we don't know that unless the doctor goes in to look at it. So that's why we really recommend a dilated eye exam. And so during a dilated exam, as I mentioned, the eye gets opened up, the doctor will diagnose anything that they see and be able to prescribe treatment. So that's why that's really important. So for people that don't have any special symptoms or risk factors, for example, if you're of African descent and you're less than 40 years old, 20 to 39 years old, we would say for this kind of exam, every 2 to 4 years you want to get one. Now, if you're 40 or older, because of some of the eye diseases and the risks that we mentioned of, for example, with glaucoma, if you're of African descent, you tend to see that happen earlier than with some other backgrounds. So we really recommend that when you're 40, you start to have, but every 1 to 2 years, you really go in for that dilated eye exam. So that's different. I'm going to let Elise talk about kind of vision screenings and how they're a little different.
Right. So
before you mention that, before you go ahead, well, when I go to see my doctor, it's probably just to, change my lens or anything, they shoot something in my eyes, which is a dilated thing, right? Is that the same thing?
So there are a few things. If they're puffing air into your eye, that's actually checking your pressure, your eye pressure. So if
Okay.
you're looking into a machine and they pop a little puff of air in, that's just checking your pressure. That's what glaucoma.
That thing feels so good, but yes, scary.
I don't know. Some doctors aren't doing that particular machine anymore.
Okay.
There are other machines that can test for your eye pressure without having to puff anything into your eye.
Okay, so
But
that is different.
Right. The eye drops. Usually what happens is they put drops into your eyes and they make you wait maybe 15 minutes because your eyes need time to dilate. And then they're able to look in your eye and do a thorough exam. And then you have to leave the doctor's office wearing, either your own sunglasses or the special, paper sunglasses that the doctor has. So it is different.
It's good you mentioned that. But then I'm going to definitely ask my doctor to do that specifically because usually it's just that thing they do in my eyes and that's
Right.
it. So
Right.
that is good you
So
mentioned.
dilated eye exams sometimes don't happen every year,
Okay.
depending on your family history, and what they know about your eyes already.
Okay.
So it could be every other year. It just kind of depends on the doctor.
Okay.
And anybody with eye trouble, you want to get in for that eye exam right away. So there's exceptions to it. So we were talking about people that don't have symptoms. If you already are having complications, no time to wait. You want to go in right away. And if you have a family history or special risks of having eye conditions, you're also the individual that would want to get that exam sooner than later.
If anybody has crossed eyes, they shouldn't worry, right? It's just natural.
Well, so no. If it's possible, depending on where you live, you need to go to a doctor because those can be corrected either with eye patching or surgery. So it kind of depends on, it's a case-by-case basis. But that's one thing that we recommend, especially with children, to get that corrected early on, is to make sure that you take your children to see an eye doctor. And not everyone has vision insurance. So that's one reason why people don't go and see the doctor. But ophthalmology is considered MD, and I think insurance will cover ophthalmology. So it's something to look into. Look into your health plan to see if, first of all, if it covers eye exams, and second, what type, if it's going to be with an ophthalmologist or an optometrist.
I think that's where prevent blindness comes in, right? I'm hoping that you would provide that, help if people can get it.
Absolutely.
Well, and what we're saying with misaligned eyes that you're talking about, when you can catch it as a child, the earlier, the better, because it can. If you are able to correct for that, you're also correcting for vision problems down the line. When you wait and you delay, then sometimes that period of time when you could correct things has already gone by.
Right. And there's another eye issue that happens with children called amblyopia, which means that one eye is weaker than the other eye. And what happens in your brain is your brain decides that it's just going to favor the strong eye, and it's actually going to cut off the weaker eye.
Okay.
And you can be blind in one eye if you don't get it corrected. So what happens is usually if you see kids wearing little eye patches, they look like little pirates. It's because they have patched their strong eye to make sure that the weaker eye is able
Catching up.
is able to see, and using only that weaker eye for several hours a day to strengthen it so that the brain doesn't turn it off.
And you said that can be checked too if it's caught early.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
How about old?
You may have heard people talk about a lazy eye. So, that language is still out there. It's still being used for that condition.
Yes.
So how about grown folks who have those parrot eyes? I mean, what's that?
So it depends. If it's exactly. It could be they're in a pirate movie, or it could be that they've lost vision in that eye, or they've lost that eye, period. There are some eye diseases where people actually have to surgically remove the eye. And if you can't wear a glass eye, or you want to wear a patch because you want to look like that, it's up to you. So the difference between a screening, we wanted to make sure we touched on that, a screening and an exam. In this state of Illinois, it is the law requires that children up through high school receive eye exams at certain points in time. Preschool kids get them. At second grade you get them. At fifth grade you get them. And I believe in eighth grade you get them as well. and then through high school, they go in and they check the student's vision, only what they call acuity, which means that they're only checking to see if the student needs glasses, if they can see far away and they can see close up. That's all. So, like if you go to the DMV and you're getting your driver's license and they make you look in that machine,
Right.
They're just checking to see if you can actually see to drive. But it's not looking at what's going on inside and behind your eye. And that's what people have a problem with is, parents will say, but my kid got screened at school and they said everything was fine. And then you say, but they didn't do a comprehensive dilated eye exam to make sure that whatever's going on, inside and behind the eye is also healthy. So that's something to consider too. We always say that screening is great, especially in rural areas where they have very poor access to eye doctors. However, it does not take the place of having a comprehensive eye exam. That's still very important.
If somebody is listening in a region or in a location where they don't have access to, good health, but
healthcare.
Yes, but they would want to get their eyes checked and not just a regular screening that goes on. What's the advice?
It is complicated. I have to say, it's one of those things that we're still really fighting to work on, because if you're working 2-3 jobs to support your family in a non-urban location and you don't have eye insurance and you have to take the entire day off from your 2 to 3 jobs to take your kid out of school and drive 50 miles to the nearest eye doctor, it's complicated. And we're trying our best to figure out ways to bring eye care into those communities. There are mobile vision clinics that sometimes are able to do that, but it's so few and far between and so infrequent. It's a problem, absolutely.
Okay.
And the pediatric eye doctors we know about in Illinois too, there are very, very few south of Peoria. In fact, there's no one that does pediatric ophthalmology south of Peoria. So for people who live south of there, getting eye care for their kids, especially with ophthalmology, if they need surgery or anything, is tough because they have to drive many hours.
So I guess Prevent Blindness has a lot of work to do.
We have to convince doctors to move to rural locations, which sometimes is not really inviting for them.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like, because you're an organization that is advocating for all these things that pertains with, good eye health. I mean, and so I'm sure that the organization has a lot on your plate, and which wants me to ask you, how are you getting supported, and where is it coming from?
So we get our support through partnerships.
Okay.
We build partnerships with other organizations and with other businesses, especially big optometric businesses that have many offices, like the people who are able to get into those communities, maybe Pearl Vision or Target or Costco, and we make sure that they are able to cover some of the expenses of people who cannot afford or can help us out with certain things. So partnerships are very key when it comes to, because it's just Catherine and myself who are in the state of Illinois doing everything.
So an example is bringing individuals like Mary to work with us to help us, because we do a lot of training. So being able to have reach beyond just the two of us means being able to, we offer a lot of training for public health individuals, for community leaders, to be able to have education themselves on eye health, and then to be able to lead classes and do workshops and talk about eye health in every community so that we can really reach as broadly as we can. And then having the opportunity to partner with individuals and groups that are going out in different communities so that we can also accompany them and to spread the word about eye health that way also.
Yeah, we try and get the biggest bang for our buck by, making sure that what we're doing is impactful and meaningful. And we found, for example, going into churches is one of the best ways, because you have a captive audience there. They're already there. They're at church, or they're having a function, some type of health fair or whatever. And so it's good because, we can help educate through that means, and especially if it's certain target populations that we're looking for, like African populations. So if you want to go into a church or a mosque and have a presentation there, it is very helpful. And then to have people who work in the church who would be willing to do the education is even better, because then they have a person that they can turn to, and who can do the education at any point in time.
For me, the biggest challenge is not getting the word out, because people can easily hear. People will hear, and then, oh yeah, that's good. Okay, now I want to get help. I think that's what the biggest problem is. And so I don't know if you said that's where people like Mary come in handy.
Absolutely.
But is one of your goals also looking to like recruit more, professionals to help the cause, because it looks like it's big?
We have a board that really is made up of clinicians as well as providers in the community. And so they are constantly looking at where are there gaps in access to services, how can we address those. So having that open dialogue all the time to try and build a better system is something we're doing with all of these educational institutions who are producing optometrists and ophthalmologists, and trying to be strategic, working with our partners on where they should be practicing.
Exactly. Oh, sounds good. Because I'm also very, very concerned about people who would hear the message and want to get help.
Right.
And I think it throws our work, all we're doing, overboard if they can get help after getting the good word. So, all right. On that note, we'll take a short break, and then when we come back, we will wrap up the conversation. All right. Stay tuned to WGHC 98.3 FM. This is your host, Alinko. We shall be right back. Welcome back to the show, and we are going to continue the discussion this evening. A few people have joined us here on Facebook. Just want to give them a shout out. Queen Star, Amokwa, and then Selassie Amekuji are all watching us. The phone lines have been open. Sorry I had to open it earlier, but what we're talking about was getting more interesting, and so, but yeah, it's open now. 773-942-7167. If you want to call in and ask a question or suggest something, you are more than welcome to do so. It's 773-942-7167. On the 26th of May, we're going to have WGAC first annual street festival right here on Broadway in the Uptown area. If you, for those of you know Uptown, if you don't, watch out for the flyers. We're going to give you the exact address in the days to come. It's basically, introducing WGC to the community and also campaigning against gun violence, as I mentioned to you guys earlier. And it will be a great opportunity for you to have a stand or a table here and preach your good word to the people that will be in attendance. And also a great time for you to taste some good African cuisine.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure, Catherine, you've missed it. I mean, you've been in Africa.
I missed suya. I was in Nigeria.
You were in Nigeria, so you missed suya, yeah?
I missed my suya.
She was in Ghana.
I was in Ghana.
Which one do you miss in Ghana?
I do not miss fufu. I'm sorry. I do not.
Yeah. How about
That's
jollof?
An acquired taste, I'm afraid.
So what do you miss?
How about the jollof, though?
Is it?
The orange rice?
Yes, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you.
We're going to have plenty of that, so.
Excellent. I will be here. No problem.
All right. Let's continue from where we left off.
Sure.
Mary.
So I want to say that most of these diseases that we have discussed, yes, indeed, are related to aging, but bear in mind that they equally affect kids, as we have already discussed. In my personal experience, I've talked to some mothers or caretakers who would make comments like, oh, he's just a kid, she's just a kid. And so they are not expecting an eye problem. But if you do not check it, you would never find out. So we are just going to share some few instances with you that whenever you recognize these things, you should bypass screening and just go and get an eye exam. So if you have a child who is preemie, as in before 32 weeks of gestation, if you have a child who has neurodevelopmental disorders, that's such as Down syndrome, or if the child is autistic, if you have a child that has systemic diseases like any other, in your system, that is associated with vision, this includes diabetes. If you have a first-degree relative with strabismus, which is misaligned eyes. I think in Ghana they call it alukumi.
Alukumi.
Yes.
Crossed eyes.
Crossed eyes. Yeah. Yes. If you have children who have noticeable abnormalities, again, crossed eyes, or droopy eyelids. Actually, now that I mentioned droopy eyelids, I remember shadowing an ophthalmologist, and the guy reported with droopy eyes, right? You would think there is something wrong with the eye, but it was something wrong with the brain. So if the doctor hadn't seen him, like as soon as the doctor saw him, they rushed him to emergency. So that is a perfect example of, you never know what's going on with you. It's your eye, but it's also your brain. So this is just one example.
You said droopy eye?
As in like your eyelids are droopy, like I don't know if
it's hard to open your eye.
Oh, like when you catch Apollo back home.
Well, you can lift your eyelids, right? But in a way that you cannot lift your eyelids, so your eyelids are droopy.
It may look like one of the eyelids is heavier than the other, so the vision is already being impacted because the child is not seeing out of that eye.
Does the eye become red?
It could, but it's the lid itself that's the problem.
But if you remember, with a lot of eye disease, yes, what's on the surface is happening visually in this case, but it may be, as Mary was mentioning, neurological things and things with the brain that are happening that are causing that. So you always want to have that checked out.
Okay. Do you want to add something to that?
I think, go ahead.
Okay, so we want to urge mothers and caretakers to pay attention to the child, There are some other stories that I've heard of. The kid doesn't know what they should be seeing. So maybe you could conduct simple tests like close one eye, tell me what you see, close the other eye. Because sometimes these kids don't know how or what they're supposed to be seeing.
They don't know what normal vision
what
is.
normal
so it's hard. So I have in my family nearsightedness, meaning that we can't see far away. And my son, when he was 3 or 4 years old, I knew something was wrong with him just by the way he was looking at our picture books. He had kind of tilted his head and had to tilt the book, and I knew something was very wrong, so I took him to the doctor at 4, the ophthalmologist, and she said, "Good catch, Mom. He has myopia, which is the nearsightedness, and he also has an astigmatism, which means that the shape of his eye, instead of being round like a basketball, it was more like a football." And he got glasses at age 4. I've been wearing them ever since.
That's what I have. They keep telling me I have
astigmatism.
Yes.
That means your eye is shaped more like a football than a basketball. Sorry.
Hey, it's all good, man. Hey, football is good as well. Okay. We have before you continue, we have a caller on the line. Okay. All right, please tell us your name and where you're calling from, please.
This is Sarah, and I have a question for Mary.
Yes, please go ahead, Sarah.
So, Mary, you did give a great explanation on glaucoma and cataract, but I'm not sure you did touch base on symptoms. So I'd like to know some of the earlier symptoms that a layperson should be able to detect if they have glaucoma or cataract.
Sure. So unfortunately, glaucoma has, most of the time, no symptoms. So it's actually called the sneak thief of sight because it has no symptoms, and if you do not go for routine eye checkups, they are not going to find out until it's too late. So this is the reason why it's important to go to the ophthalmologist or optometrist periodically to get your vision checked. With cataracts, if you have normal vision and your vision is changing, I believe you as an individual would notice. because it's going to be blurred. I mean, that doesn't mean that it is cataracts, but that hopefully will prompt the individual to go in and get it checked. So cataracts, the only symptom is your vision is going to be different from what you used to see. And like I said before, this could be racial. I mean, just depending on your racial background. If you have any injury, it could be, as they mentioned earlier, it's also related to aging. Cataract is one of the diseases that is very associated with aging. But like I said before, it could happen in a child. Some kids are born with it and they would have to have surgery right away. So unfortunately, most of these diseases do not have symptoms, and that is why it's important to go in for eye checkups.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have another question on the cataract. So I know you do have to get surgery to take the natural lenses off and get that replaced. Is there any long-term side effects if you do get that replaced?
Well, the one side effect that I can mention is unfortunately getting glaucoma as a result of that. You know, nothing is perfect. Everything has some side effects. I mean, we would hope that when you get your surgery, that doesn't happen, and that could rely on you as an individual, as a patient, to follow the regimen that your doctor gives you. Most of the time when you go through cataract surgery, they're going to tell you, you know, do not lift any heavy things, do not bend, do not do this for at least maybe, I mean, it depends. I'm not sure of the duration they're going to tell you, but they give you advice, and it's expected that you follow those advice. So if you do not follow them, then it's likely it makes it more plausible for you to get these side effects. But yeah, glaucoma is one of the side effects of cataract surgery, and possibly, you know, some sort of infection if you do not take care of it, if you do not follow the regimen that the doctor gives you.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for the great explanation.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, caller, for chiming in. The number is, we only have 5 minutes. If you want to call in for your question or contribution, it's 773-942-7167. This show can be watched again on Progressive Minds page. If you missed it, you can also check the Progressive Minds page on YouTube or our Facebook page, WGHC FM. It's good. We are talking about the side effects and how to prevent and all the things that we have to do in terms of prevention. One thing I feel we haven't touched on is some eating habits that may help the eyesight. My mom used to tell me all the time, eat carrot, eat carrot, eat carrot, eat carrot, eat plenty carrots.
Everyone's mom had that advice.
So what else? Apart from carrots, I mean, you can, if you want to lose weight, you know, you have to jog, you know, so, but is there any physical exercise that you can do for the eye? And apart from that, okay, so that's scratched out. How? Obviously.
Don't scratch it.
Right. There's nothing else you can do, but apart from eating well. What are some of the eating habits that we can adopt?
It's all going to be the same thing that doctors and health educators and nurses and everyone has been telling people for decades and decades. It's eat fresh foods. Try
Fruits,
to stay
you mean?
Foods. Any fresh food.
Okay.
Fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, and meats and eggs and other things that don't contain a lot of hormones or pesticides. So it can be complicated if you are on a budget, a very tight budget, to be able to purchase those types of things. But the things that what we usually say is that things that come in boxes that have bags and other things, or shelf lives of years, is probably not your friend. They taste great because they've been kind of engineered to, for you to be addicted to them. But to have fresh vegetables and fruits in the house, fresh meats and fresh fish and eggs without, the hormones and things, and dairy also without hormones is important. Exercise obviously is important, and it's very hard to change people's behavior. We were talking about this during the break, and that's one of the most difficult things. I was a diabetic educator for many years, and telling people what they should be doing is one thing, but having them actually follow what you're telling them to do is more difficult, because people like their McDonald's, they like their Mountain Dews, they like to eat that kind of stuff, and so it's very difficult for them to change. But if they want their health to improve, then they'll have to make those changes.
Absolutely.
Or it won't.
We only have 2 minutes. So You all give your last words, including what you wanted to say.
Sure.
But is there any truth to this carrot thing? This carrot thing?
Vitamin A.
Yes.
Helping the eye?
Yes.
Okay, you were saying yes a lot. Please
So they have
give
done,
us your last word, including what you want to say.
Sure, they have done a lot of research on that, and the bottom line is eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. And the reason being that these have a lot of antioxidants, okay? So not getting into the science, but I'm sure you have heard of it. Antioxidants are good for you in so many ways, right? Even in cancer, antioxidants are the key. So just keep eating your fruits and vegetables. And also just the thought behind why it's the same thing that doctors are telling us. As we have established here, your eye health is related to your overall health. So whatever they are telling you to maintain your overall health does affect your eye.
Okay.
So in essence, that could be a simple explanation as to why it's still the same answer.
Right.
Eat well,
Eat well.
Eat
well.
Eat well, exercise, and take good care of yourself. And we wanted to make sure you have resources online. You can go to www.preventblindness.org and look at our website, the Prevent Blindness website. You can also phone us, 1-800-331-2020, 2020. You can email us at info@preventblindness.org. If you are looking for financial assistance, we do have financial assistance programs. You can call our office, and that number is 312-363-6027. We have a Facebook page you're welcome to follow us on for Prevent Blindness. Also, a Twitter handle is PB@SavingSight. And then in Illinois, our Twitter handle is @PBIL_ISPB.
All right. Your last words, please.
They've said it all.
Okay.
Take care of your health. Go to the doctor. Be able to eat well, exercise well. When you feel well, chances are your body's feeling well, and so are your eyes being taken care of.
Okay. Well, listeners, we thank you for your audience, those who have called in, those who joined us on Facebook. Your contributions and your time has been well appreciated. We thank you so much. Week in, week out, you join the Progressive Mind show in order to build our community. Christian Akabutu Christian, my own brother, Gloria Weldon. I forgot to give you a shout out. Nana Owusua is also watching us. I'm sure I did not miss. I did not miss anybody. Ajayi Fred also said, nice show, keep it up. And David Aye says, great job, Mary. Mary, you have two fans here. And then Rosie. Okay, so yeah, that's it for Facebook. Next week, you don't want to miss the Progressive Mind Show, because we're coming your way with another topical conversation that would build our community. We are inviting you to our event on the 26th of May. You don't want to miss it. And keep donating to WGHC. Today, it was our telethon. Please forgive me. We had a pack discussion today, so I wasn't able to do the telethon. But the whole point of the telethon is that you go on our page, WGHC-FM 98.3, WGHCFM.org, and make your donations to us. We are a community-based organization, a radio station. We are a 501c3 organization, so everything you donate to us is tax deductible. We rely on your donations in order to keep our programs going and also keep our equipment updated. So please remember to help WGHC by going on our website again, WGHCFM.org, to make your contributions. It's been wonderful coming your way. God bless you. Remember, to whom much is actually. Thank you, my guests, for coming on the show from Prevent Blindness. Thank you for your good work. We're going to be here again to promote what you're doing. Excellent job, Catherine, Mary, and then Elise. Thank you so much once again for coming around. We will talk to you again. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. God bless you. Bye-bye.